Do you think the 49ers are rebuilding? You know, getting rid of Debo for a lot of reasons, potentially getting rid of Ayuk for a lot of reasons. Lynch said we got to get younger. We were the oldest team in the league. We got to get more cost effective. We need more guys on. Does that mean they're rebuilding? On the other hand, they might be giving Brock Purdy a whole hell of a lot of money and extending George Kittle. So I don't really know what to make. What do you think?
The 49ers are never rebuilding, and they're never going all in under this Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. That's their philosophy.
That's the right answer.
Right? So it's kind of like a revamp. They're trying to do both. Retooling is what Big Dez said in the chat. That's kind of a good description. But like they've spoke about their philosophy that they're not going to go all in. They always think about the future. But I don't consider it a full rebuild either. Considering they're about to pay Brock Purdy, they still have CMC, they still have Trent. They're probably going to restructure Fred Warner. They're going to keep George Kittle. So not quite a full rebuild, but more like a retool, revamp.
That's so funny. I love like the different terms you could come up with to like find a middle ground. To me, that's just all, and I would agree that revamp sounds better, but that to me is like the vocabulary of a team or a person that's having an identity crisis. And I think the Niners are having an identity crisis. They want to get younger, they want to get cheaper, and they also want to get back in the playoffs. Okay. All right. Well, after these moves, if you get rid of Debo and lose cap space, you get rid of Ayuk and lose cap space, and you miss the playoffs again next year, then Kyle can just turn to the media and be like, well, what do you expect? My owners freaking cut my budget. What do you want me to do? I had to get rid of my starting wide receivers before the season because my owners didn't want to write them checks. I mean, that's a tough position to be in. So that sounds like rebuilding. But then again, like you're going to make Brock one of the highest paid. I don't know what their plans are for Brock, but I think they got to figure out, what do you want to do? If you're going to pay Brock and slash the team around him, then you're just setting him up for failure. I'm not saying they needed to keep Debo, but it feels like they're going to get rid of these guys. They're probably not going to spend much in free agency. And the big move they'll make is maybe sign Brock and run it back next year and be better. I don't know. Maybe if the draft class is great, maybe.
Maybe they're finally doing what a lot of us have been saying for a long time. Maybe they're following the trend, like looking at the Eagles, and maybe they are finally figuring out we got to invest in these trenches. We'll see what happens in this draft, who they actually draft, and that you don't spend a ton of money on weapons. Maybe that's the route they're going, which in some ways could be addition by subtraction, particularly with Debo. I think Debo leaving is probably good for Debo. It's probably good for the 49ers because we all got a little, well, I can't speak for everybody. I got a little nauseous watching Kyle Shanahan trying to force feed Debo Samuel the ball all season long. And I think the loss of him is going to eliminate that possibility. And so now maybe the team will actually have more success because only Kyle doesn't feel that pressure to feed Debo the ball. So
that's fair.
You never know. It could be a good thing to lose Debo. And Brandon Ayuk isn't coming back until probably December anyways, even if he stays on the team. So that's almost a non-factor.
Look, Jesse been saying they should have started rebuilding last year. Rebuilding sometimes is good. It may not be fun, but it's necessary. And I think that the Niners are rebuilding. I just don't think they want to admit it. Maybe they don't even know that they're rebuilding, but I think it's possible that they know it and they don't want to say it because they just increased season ticket prices again. And when you say we're rebuilding, oftentimes you kind of give back to the fans a little bit like, hey, be patient, bear with us. You know football, you know the process. We're going to do it right. Give us some time. Niners aren't talking like that. This is year 9. They're jacking up prices. They're just streamlining things. They're recalibrating. What corporate word that means absolutely nothing can we throw on this to make it sound okay? It's a reset.
Yeah.
No, it's a rebuild. It's a rebuild. I mean, they lead the league in dead cap space this year. Does that sound like a team that's going to win the Super Bowl? $65 million in dead cap for this year? This sounds like almost like another throwaway year. Although they do have an easy schedule. And Brock, love Brock. Great quarterback.
They're rebuilding their financial philosophy, I think is what they're doing. They're rebuilding their financial philosophy and how they approach team building because what they've done so far hasn't got the job done. and I think they've learned it the hard way, and that's how they're going to move going forward.
I feel it. Ramon Lozano has been a member for 40 months. That's hella long. Thank you very much, Ramon. I appreciate it. Dave Barclay says, two of the best in the game. Love you guys. Grinding. I went out to dinner with a bunch of my publisher colleagues with SI, and I kept using the word hella. And Hondo Carpenter, who covers the Raiders, was like, what is this word? I'm like, and he kept saying it. He was like, it's a lot of fun to say. It is a lot of fun to say. What are you talking about? Never heard of it.
Hold on. He just discovered hella?
Yeah, and he was using it wrong. He was like, this restaurant is hella. I'm like, no, you got to, it's an adjective. It's hella cool. It's hella good. It's not just hella. Anyway, I thought it was pretty fun. He never heard of the word. Sean said, was talking with Jesse about this last night. What's the true trade? What's the rule on trading IR players? Why would anyone trade for an unknown asset after a major injury? It's the type of trade that gets someone fired. I mean, I think it's based on whether the team that's trading for him, whether their training staff would okay it, essentially. I mean, they could do whatever the hell they want. They could fail the physical and still trade for him if they wanted to.
I think it's absolutely. I think Sean's right though. Like if you trade for Brandon Ayuk at that price tag and he never recovers fully from that injury, how bad is that? That's awful.
That's true. I mean, you have to get your owner to sign off on it, and but it's like, look, we only give up a 6th round pick or something. He was really good. He might not be really good anymore.
But the price.
Do you want to take this flyer? And if the owner's like, yeah, sounds like a great, like, yeah, absolutely, why not? Or no. I mean, it'd be something to talk about. I bet you there are teams that are having those. I mean, we know there are teams having these conversations right now.
Yeah.
According to Lynch.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either.
I wouldn't do it.
Sean said, didn't Ayuk get guaranteed money already? $76 million. I don't want to get rid of anyone in my life bad enough to just give away that cash. He has to play and raise his value so they can get some ROI. No, I mean, like they've paid him. Well, you can go to Spot Track and then click on Ayuk cash breakdown. So they paid him $24.125 million last year. If he's on the roster on April 1st, then they're going to have to pay him. Then at least $24.875 million gets guaranteed. Then next year it'll be $27 million. He's expensive, and just because you've already spent $24 million on him doesn't mean you need to spend the next crazy payment. At some point, you might just want to walk away. Talk to a lawyer. Sometimes a lawyer can help you figure that out. Kristen says, "Don't be surprised if the Niners pick a tight end at 11." No, I would be freaking shocked. Wide receiver, though, I can see him doing. Sean DeVoe says, I told everyone just look at the Chiefs and the Bills. Do you think Brock Purdy can win with less weapons? If your answer is no, then you know he's not elite. Why pay him? Look at what's happened to the Chiefs and the Bills since they've paid those quarterbacks. And those guys only get $45 million a year. Those teams aren't exactly stacked with weapons.
I will say this, hopefully. I will say this, though. Cheaper weapons doesn't mean less weapons necessarily, right? Like, Deebo Samuel, I'm sorry, but Deebo was not good last year. So getting a cheaper replacement for Deebo Samuel could actually be a really good thing for Brock Purdy.
It's going to be interesting to see what Deebo can do. Can he get in shape? And then also on that team, they run a lot more 11 personnel. He doesn't have the speed to play outside anymore. No one respects his deep speed, so it's hard for him to get open. But you put him in the slot and he has a two-way go left and right. I don't know. If he's like 225, it could work. I'm curious to see. And the Niners better have a real good replacement for him. But, dude, if Deebo plays well this year, it's going to be such a bad look for the 49ers. The worst of the looks.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be hard to play worse than he did. It would be hard to play worse than he did last year. I think he will.
As long as he doesn't punch a teammate, he's like already doing better. Tyler Caressley says, honestly, Grant and Ryan, is this Kyle's way of admitting what he's done so far has been a failure? All his players are leaving, not being re-signed. Does this taint his reputation? It doesn't look great for Kyle right now. All the people he wanted to sign the last couple of years getting thrown out. Seems like he's getting less carte blanche about what to do with personnel and who to pay. Seems like he's been reined in a little bit. Like, hey, man, why don't you just focus on your one job and we'll do this?
Yeah, I don't think he's admitting anything. It taints his reputation within the organization because I think the front office is aware of what's going on and they see what's going on. I don't think Kyle's admitting anything, though. Doesn't seem like his personality.
When you run into the front office and you're the one who puts a stop to a trade. They were going to trade Ayuk to Pittsburgh. This is all on the record. This is all been recorded. He runs in and stops it and says, pay him $30 million a year. I bet the owners are like, all right, well, we don't want to, but we'll defer to you. But here are the consequences if you're wrong. Do you still want to do this? And Kyle probably said, yeah, I want to do this. And now here are the consequences when he's wrong.
Right.
Jesus Bonus is the real issue. Isn't signing Brock, it's signing Brock and not addressing the O-line. How can you expect to win?